my name is Kai, I'm sick, I make videos about my life, and welcome to Something is Wrong with My Port. If you've never seen my beautiful, stunning face before and you know nothing about my port, then check out these videos right up here, because I've talked a lot about my port on my channel. But if you are new here, and you don't feel like watching any other videos, then I have my port for fluids. So my GI tract is pre-paralyzed and my heart doesn't make enough fluids, and then I also need more fluids because I have POTS. So like, the trifecta has combined to that I can't drink enough, my heart doesn't make enough, and I need more than the normal person. So I run fluids a few times a week through my port, and I have been learning how to take care of my port all on my own. So I have some videos where I adjust to having a port, and then how I learned to manage my line care, and this video was supposed to be all about me learning how to access my own port. Unfortunately, that is not the case anymore, because something is wrong with it. So everything's been put on pause until we can figure out what's wrong with my port. So I think that's all the backstory you need. Let's dive right in. This tale begins in November of 2023, when I had just been given clearance to access my own port. Let us roll the flashback film. So, little update, I am officially learning how to access my port on my own, which is super exciting. So, last time I went in, not the last time I went to the clinic, but the time before that, my nurse started teaching me about things. This week, I think we're gonna finish doing it, and I'm gonna actually learn how to do everything on my own. So this may as well be my very last week that somebody else accesses my port. My first time at the infusion clinic, after having been given clearance, I did not touch my own port. I didn't touch it at all. My nurses still accessed me, but I got to play around with a lot of the materials. So we practiced putting gloves on in a sterile field and doing all of these things, and just holding the needle and pushing the needle into something so I could feel the way it would feel when it went into my port, and just all of these things to get me familiar with the materials. But then my nurses accessed me and I went home. Unfortunately, this is where things started to go wrong. While I was driving home, I started to feel really unwell, and I'm just gonna show you. Okay, I'm not really sure what's happening. My heart rate's been really high all day. And it just kind of feels vaguely like the time that I had way too many, not way too many stimulants, but I had stimulants that I probably shouldn't have had. But like, my entire body is like shaking. And I'm so cold. And like, my hands are like going like purple to white. I don't even know how well you can see that. Which I normally only get like an influx of my like Raynaud's when I'm really cold or I have really low blood volume. So I'm not having the best time. I'm just gonna try and get home and lie down and see if that helps, but I might just be really cold. It is cold outside, so we'll see. But I'm like violently shaking. So, and everything hurts. And it happened within a matter of like 10-15 minutes. I went from feeling okay to like, oh god, I've got a, like, my back is kind of hurting and I'm feeling not great, and now I'm shaking. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But I have something I really want to go to tonight, and I don't want to go to the ER. Like, I so badly want to go to this event. But I can't do that if I'm completely shaking. So we'll see. It'd be kind of funny if I was terrified. Like, this would be really funny if I really wasn't terrified. I kind of am. Hello, it's like, there's hair in my mouth. 4 a.m.-ish, 5 a.m. Oh god, it really hurts. We went to urgent care. It said, oh, it's a sinus infection. We'll prescribe some antibiotics. If you're not feeling better in a few days, take it. And I was like, okay, but I'm gonna go pick it up tomorrow and start taking it tomorrow because I feel horrible. And we came home.
I got ready and I went to bed, started running some fluids. Part of the concern was this was like an infection of my port, so I was a little worried that something was gonna happen after I started using it, but I figured most of these issues were from like low blood volume, because that's kind of what it feels like, plus wonky heart rate and blood pressure to like overcompensate, which is not something that my body does very often. But I calmed down a lot in urgent care, so we were kind of like, okay, cool, we're good, we're done. I woke up at like 4 a.m, like violently shaking again, and I could not stop. Yeah, I woke up like shaking, not great, trying to get myself to stop, trying really hard just to like deep breath, relax the muscles, but like it was so involuntary, like it was just everything was shaking. Not my idea of a good night. And then I kind of fell back asleep because I was doing so much deep breathing. I think I fell asleep like shaking, because I'm so exhausted. And I woke up again, and I was slowly sitting up, slowly taking the blanket off, because part of it is I've been so cold. So I was just ever so slowly taking the blanket off so I didn't like shock my body temperature, because my electric blanket is turned up like really high, like higher than I ever keep it, because I was so cold. And then I got up. Oh, I sat all the way up, and the second I sat up, I went, ooh, no, I feel very, very, very sick. And like I can count on one hand the amount of times I've thrown up, which is ridiculous because my gastric emptying is like 21 hours. And all of my GI doctors are so confused because it's not like I have kind of slow delayed gastric emptying. Like, it's bad. Nobody knows I can't throw up. Water is like one of the only things I can throw up. But I threw up pretty much my entire lunch, which is a food I eat all the time. It's like my favorite burger place. I have never had an issue feeling sick after eating it. I don't know what happened. I guess my body decided mushrooms? No bueno. But I threw up. Peed my pants just a little bit, which is on all levels embarrassing, and then just passed out. But I'm like running fluids, and I was sprinting to my bathroom to get to like the sink because I wasn't even gonna get to the toilet or bend down enough. And my IV pole was like leaning, and then I passed out and it just fell with me, so we both just toppled. So now I'm like getting all the blood to slowly trickle back in, because it's a gravity IV bag, and when it's below your heart, your blood just goes whoop, which is mildly concerning, but hey. What can you do with a drunken sailor? What can you do with a drunken sailor? Put him in an electric blanket until he throws up, pees himself, and passes out, apparently. I'm gonna go back to bed.
At the time, I didn't know that this was related to my port. I just thought this was some sort of weird incident, something. I had a sinus infection at the time. I just thought I was extra sick. We went to urgent care that night, and they just told me, yeah, my body was crashing from being sick. They gave me some antibiotics and sent me on my way. I had asked if there was any way it could have been from my port because I had just accessed my port that day, and I was validly very concerned about that. And they reassured me that it was not from my port. At this point, I wasn't too concerned. I had a few more episodes that night. I thought I might have just still been sick. Had a few more. Again, I didn't think too much of it. I just thought I was sick. But as the next week progressed, week and a half, I realized that they were happening every single time I used my port, and only when I used my port. So it had to be something with IV port something. I didn't know, and I just wasn't getting any better. But I have just graduated college this spring, and I decided to try and transfer my primary care. I'm still in the same city, I'm just at the other end of it, so I was trying to transfer it to somewhere that was closer to where I live now, but they had a really long wait list, so I didn't have an appointment until February with them, which was kind of inconvenient when I realized I may have needed more urgent medical attention, but I didn't, I don't know, it wasn't the end of the world yet, so we just kept using my port.
Today is officially Saturday night, Sunday morning. Had another one of the fits.
and I went up and visited my family for Thanksgiving and came back home here, and then was here for a few weeks and went back up to my family. And I think at this point I was just in survival mode. I didn't have much of a choice. I had to just keep working. I had to just keep getting to the end of the day and just keep going. And I felt so horrifically unwell that the only thing I could think of was do the bare minimum to get myself through the day. And going to the ER wasn't worth it to me, because what were they gonna do? I couldn't go to the ER if I wasn't actively having an episode. I didn't want to drive while I was having an episode, all of that fun stuff. So I did decide to go to the ER one day.
I feel about as ready as I possibly ever could. So now it's just time to get started on setting up fluids and getting to the hospital. Knowing my luck, nothing's gonna happen this time because I'm like prepared, and like nothing at all is gonna happen. But you know, I doubt that. So yeah, so I've been sat here for like 20 minutes with I feel fine. So I just started the fluids. I'm like actually just running them, but I have them hanging up from like the handle of my car, and I'm like sat at the feet of in the back seat of my car. I'm just at the ER parking lot, just running fluids for my car. This is one of the weirder things I think I've ever done. I don't know.
I hooked myself up to fluids and immediately drove to the ER. And I was just gonna wait till I had an episode. And I sat in the ER parking lot for like 3 hours and nothing happened. So eventually I drove myself home, and like 2 hours after I got home, I had an episode. But I didn't trust myself to drive during these episodes. I didn't want to call 911, and I live alone, so it's not like I had somebody to drive me. So whole fun thing, but I just never ended up being able to go to the ER, and I was just head down work. There was just not that much time. So eventually I came back up to my family's for Christmas, and pretty quickly I was like, okay, I'm gonna start fluids, and the second I have an episode, Mom, you're driving me to the ER. And that is what happened. I feel like shit. I'm hooked up to fluids. I'm cold. I don't feel good. And finally, time to go to the ER while this is happening. Let's go. Essentially, the ER told me I was too complicated. I didn't have an infection. I didn't have a blood clot. There was no immediate damage that they could there wasn't anything wrong that they could fix. So, and everything else was too complex. So they just said, find a bunch of specialists. We don't know what to tell you. I was like, okay, great. So I did see my family's primary because they're pretty good. And they just slotted me in. And pretty much they told me to see my vascular surgeon. I came back to Savannah in January. I didn't use my port all that much, and then I just decided to stop using it until I could get it fixed. So I tried to call the vascular surgeon, the person who placed my port, and they couldn't accept me as a patient without having had a referral.
So I messaged the vascular institute that did my port just to see if they could check up on it, and they're pretty much like, not without a primary. Or not, they didn't say that, but they're like, yeah, your primary just needs to send over a thing. And I'm like, that would be so easy if I wasn't in the middle of moving primaries. This is horrible timing on my behalf.
So I needed to see my primary, my actual primary, not my family's primary. A primary that was in the same state as my surgeon. So I just decided I needed to wait till February. Well, February rolls around and I had to schedule surgery on my arm, which happened to be the same day as my primary's appointment. So I just kind of decided, screw it, I have not used my port, not once since kind of coming back. Well, I've used it once, and that was just to see if it was still happening. Was still happening. Have not used it since that day. So I decided to call my primary today, and I will let you watch what happens from there. Okay, so I've obviously been having issues with my port. Half the reason that it's been such a pain in the butt is because I decided I wanted to transfer my primary care. Except I have
had issues with scheduling, and it's been a whole thing. Namely, I missed an appointment because I was so narcoleptic I couldn't get to it. And then it was like another 4 months before I could schedule another appointment. Anyways, and then I had the port stuff happen after that. And I was like, I'll make it to this point, I'll make it to this appointment. Didn't realize that I had I had surgery on the same day and time I had this primary appointment. So I just called my old primary like an hour ago, and they were like, can you come in today? And I was like, oh my god, can I come in today? Yeah, let me just get showered. So I'm showered now. I'm doing my makeup, and I'm gonna leave soon. Actually, I'm gonna throw a load of laundry in, and then I'm gonna go. But I'm gonna go to my primary. Well, my old primary. I'm not seeing my primary. I'm just seeing somebody randomly in office. But I actually gotta go do that, and then potentially, who knows? My hope is that maybe I can see the vascular surgeon this week, and then I don't know. Maybe next week. It's depending on what's wrong with my port. But because I had an IV placed and nothing went wrong for surgery, my assumption is it's probably my port. There's no question that it's my port now, and not that I'm just allergic to IV fluids, which was genuinely a consideration I had. Anyways, I'm gonna go walk in and be like, hi, I'm having issues with my port, don't mind the other surgery I've had. But that's what's happening today, and I'm really excited because I did not think I was gonna get this far this quickly, but I did. So we're gonna go. Yay.
So the appointment went well. They said the vascular surgeon should call me potentially within the next 24 hours, and if I don't hear from them in the next 24 hours, give them a call. So Wednesday I'll probably give them a call if I haven't heard from them. That'll be fun. Honestly, my doctor today said what's probably wrong is that the tip of my port has just moved somewhere in my heart, and it's in the wrong place. So every time anything comes through it, there's just enough fluid that's coming out, and I quote him directly, it tickles my heart from the inside. I think that's the funniest thing a medical professional has ever told me. It's probably true, but funniest thing. So I probably just have it slightly displaced. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. I don't actually know what that means. So right now, I really have no idea what's happening. And my best case scenario is that they can just shift whatever's in the wrong spot over without having to do surgery or anything like that. That is best case scenario, no surgery. My worst case scenario is that they're gonna have to replace my port. And I feel like that could go a few ways. One way is the best case scenario for replacing my port is that they can go into the incision that's already here, take this port out, put a new one in the same spot, and just close this up, and it'll be one incision, one surgery, bam, done. But my worst case scenario for replacing my port is that this is a really gnarly scar, and I don't know how easy it would be to open it, so they would have to take the port out through another place, and that they wouldn't be able to put a new port into the same spot in the same surgery, so I would have to go in for one surgery to remove the port through a different spot than this one, and that I would then go in for another surgery to get another port put in a different spot, which would be like 2 new scars plus this one, so that would be like 3 things, like 3 scars on my chest, which I don't love the idea of, especially because I have a wedding I am going to in like a month, and I already have my entire arm cut into right now, so I'd rather not look like a zombie, but that's fine. It's fine. Everything is gonna be fine. Anyways, this has probably been one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through medically. Like, dealing with SVT was a challenge, but that was like such a short period of my life, and there were 2 really, really bad days, but everything else was fine. This has been a lot of bad days, and the thing that saves my life is killing me, and that's really, really hard to deal with. And like, even like looking at IV bags right now makes me feel so Like my heart just races. Like I feel like I just, having my port placed, there were a few months where I had a job. I have a full-time job and I love it. And I had my port and I was taking care of fluids and I was doing PT and I felt the healthiest I've ever felt since before I got really, really sick in like 2020, 2021. And I was so happy. Not that like having bad health means you can't be happy, but I've never felt healthier and I've never been able to do more. Like it was so empowering to feel a lot less sick. I just felt like I was at the healthiest I could be and I really, really enjoyed that. And once my port started having issues, I felt like that was all taken away from me. And it was just really heartbreaking because I truly felt so much better and then it was gone and I feel like I've been struggling so much ever since. But I feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel now. It is within my grasps that this is fixed and I'm really just hoping something's wrong with my port and all I have to do is replace it, because for a hot second there I was really worried I was allergic to saline, which is not far outside of the scope of possibilities concerning my body, but I was really worried I was actually going to be allergic to saline. So this, if I just have to replace my port, that's a much simpler solution. So hopefully that's what it is. But I guess you're all caught up on what's happening with Kai and my port. So until next time, I will leave you. And next video you'll see from me will probably be everything concerning getting answers for this, hopefully, finally. And next time you see me, I will hopefully, by the end of the next video, have a functioning port again. That's my goal. So thank you so much for sticking along with me through my journey thus far. Sorry to leave you on such a cliffhanger, but you know what? That's where I am in life right now, so you get to join me in the misery. But thank you for your support and your love and watching this far. And next video will hopefully have a happy ending. And until then, much love. Bye!